Lufat. Lufat.
Injija woman malaria enka won to them. Lufat. Eye malaria drop a cope.
And now you may kiss the bride.
Entrance Pharmaceuticals and Research Center. And I Lufat. Lufat. A two malaria sententem. FDA. Ashasa ejedi inkratoi ajatum.
From 1921 to 2021, journeyed.
Tell me, beer.
They ma worry me. Watch me, you come 1 week, Mr. Oh, now,
yes. Buga, Nade.
Senior, name me, no cut down, my business is a collapse. I'm out of banks.
So, we'll take quick credit, Jinka.
Quick credit?
Yes, quick credit. Who Pesica? Eddie Astatia, you may be. Who here be seen Eddie a true good deal. We are government and a private worker. Who Pesica, they are till horses. We are Bosumi, you man. Who yes, Sicadia giving temper so quick credits when more loan and what you are in Kakaka. Now, a little some Cassian is a collateral free loaner, Susu, savings, account opening, and a deposit as a BLO. You hear and say, Wagana card 2022 year, 1 year Juma, now 1 hour young. Who need excuse here? Press quick credit to 03022 00390 and 05969 20833. Besina quick credit to
In the first 2 years, your baby will experience amazing growth in so many ways. To fuel it, they need the right nutrition. With Cerelac, 1 bowl of goodness a day provides the wholesomeness of carefully selected grains, the iron plus which helps support brain development, and the yummy taste baby loves, assuring you the right nutrition in 1 bowl. Cerelac, it's all good, Mom.
This advert is FDA approved.
All SIM cards in Ghana must be registered again with only the Ghana card. Yes, only the Ghana card.
You will not be able to make voice calls, use mobile money services, internet, and all other services linked to your SIM card if you don't.
To register, dial *404# and follow the prompts. You will be required to send the following details on your Ghana card: Ghana card number, surname, first name, date of birth, and sex.
You will then receive a special code which you will present to your nearest service provider agent or customer care center for your biometric details to be captured. Remember to add your digital address.
Dial *404# on your phone to start registering your SIM card today.
For more information, contact your service provider on 100 or the National Communications Authority on toll-free number 0800 110622. Register your SIM card to stay connected.
Hey, tell me more. Tell me more. Hey, tell me more. Tell me, beer.
They ma worry me. Watch me, you come 1 week, Mr. Oh, now,
yes. Buga, Nade.
Senior, name me, no cut down, my business is a collapse. I'm out of banks.
So, we'll take quick credit, Jinka.
Quick credit?
Yes, quick credit. Who Pesica? Eddie Astatia, you may be. Who here be seen Eddie a true good deal. We are government and a private worker. Who Pesica they are till horses. We are Bosumi Juma. Who here Sicadia be temper so quick credit to more loan and what you are in Kakaka. Now, a little some Cassian said, a collateral free loaner, Susu, savings, account opening, and a deposit as MBLO. He only said, Wagana card 2022 year, 1 year Juma, now 1 hour young. We need excuse here. Press quick credit to 03022 00390 and 05969 20833. But see na quick credit check us auto.
That November day when another chaotic moment broke out in Parliament, and it was over a deputy speaker handing over his chair to another deputy so he could be counted, so he could let his voice be heard, and the minority side was not having it. And now we are at this point. The Supreme Court, in a landmark decision yesterday, ruled that a deputy speaker of Parliament can be counted during the formation of a quorum for parliamentary decision-making and participation in voting whilst presiding. Private legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi filed the case against the Attorney General at the Supreme Court, invoking the jurisdictions of the Apex Court to interpret Articles 102 and 104 of the 1992 Constitution and declare the action of Mr. Osei-Wusu as unconstitutional for counting himself while presiding as Speaker to approve the 2022 budget. That was the story. Today, Justice is here. He's taking the seat to answer some of our questions and yours. Justice Abdullahi, private legal practitioner, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And what a journey I'm sure you would have had since you started the proceedings from the sights and scenes that we witnessed that November day in Parliament. And was you did this for the courts to go a certain way, to say the man we come to call Joe Wise, so the Honourable First Deputy Speaker, was unconstitutional in his actions, but the court disagreed. Was that the verdict you were expecting?
Indeed, that wasn't what I was expecting. Indeed, what I was expecting is what is clearly stated on the writ. The court thinks otherwise. I disagree with the court, but this is the judgment of the Supreme Court. My disagreement notwithstanding, we have to accept it. When the decision finally comes out tomorrow, and there is a possibility for exploration of maybe a review, I can take that decision after having looked at the decision carefully and convincing myself that indeed there should be that route to take. I'll take it when I come to that conclusion. However, until then, I disagree. I'm happy that this decision came because it puts clarity, as I've said, on the issue. It puts a closure to the infighting that witnessed the 2020 elections and the events that unfolded afterwards, which is the current parliament that we are saddled with. A good parliament, by all standards, if you ask me. In fact, a better parliament than all other parliaments we've ever had, despite the chaotic scenes that we see on a daily basis. That is what we have actually needed all these times, because rather than the rubber stamping parliament that we've had. However, it's not a nice thing to see members of parliament giving papers and throwing chairs at each other. That is not what I expect to see. I expect to see a healthy parliament characterized with strong and superior debates and rather than emotions and partisan interest, putting national interest at the top of their discussions. That is what I expect to see, and that is what I sought to do when I took this matter up to the Supreme Court. So my personal disagreement notwithstanding, I think this is what we have been looking out for some level of decency to prevail in the activities of Parliament and in the way they go about things going forward.
I just wonder, disagreeing but accepting the ruling pending the details that we are told will be delivered pretty much shortly. So a stark contrast to what you believed going into this case, and I'm suspecting that the details of the decision would inform your
absolutely
your future.
My next decision.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the substance of the case remains the same for you, in effect, doesn't it?
Not at all. The substance has been ironed out now, okay. As we have it now. Going forward, now we all know what the new law is. Let's remember that once the Supreme Court has spoken, that becomes the law to be operated with, going forward. So you can no longer rely on
a vague interpretation of
exactly
102 and 104.
Absolutely, as existed before yesterday. You can no longer operate with that. You can only operate with what has been pronounced upon by the Supreme Court going forward. And that is the new law. That is what everybody operates with. And so this shouldn't be looked at from the angle of Justice Abdullahi solely. This is a national exercise. And that is what all of us should understand, that going to the Supreme Court on constitutional matters is a completely different thing. It's not the same as you having an issue with another person and then traveling all the way to the Supreme Court. Or maybe you having some land issue or any other matter. This is a completely different matter. With the Supreme Court, when you go there on a constitutional issue, it affects the entirety of the nation. Indeed, those who support you and those who disagree with you. All of us are affected equally, whether you belong to one political party or the other, whether you agree with my position or not, whoever you are, whether you even know what is going on or do not, whether you are yet to be born or you are still in the womb of your parent, it affects you equally as me being alive today. So it is a very serious business, and we must look at things from that dispassionate angle. Indeed, it is the reason why I strongly believe that the portions of the decision that seeks to make a referee, being the speaker, also a player having the right to vote, among other things. That is the reason why I disagree a bit with that, because it takes away the neutrality and the impartiality of that person presiding from the entire discussion. And remember, nation building takes a lot of it's a complex thing, and it requires people who are patriot, people who are non-partisan in a way. You may be partisan but still play the role of a patriot and a citizen. And so I'm of the strongest opinion, for instance, that the same way that we get the speaker elected is the same way we should have the deputies also elected. They shouldn't be members of parliament. That way we can get the best out of them without having to limit their authority with partisan interest. What we have presently is in fact the reason why we are in this particular situation, because if these deputies were coming from outside of parliament, we wouldn't be saddled with these difficulties. Unfortunately, that's the kind of constitution we have, and so we have to accept it. But the point is this: the deputies as we have them now toe political party lines. And so however strong the person may be, if he is whipped into taking a particular decision that is in favor of his political party, but not in the interest of government of Ghana, or the people of Ghana, unfortunately he cannot do much about it. And this is for me the most dangerous aspect of this decision. If the decision had gone the way I expected it, That is not to say that I'm more right than the Supreme Court. But if it had gone that way, then we would have had some level of neutrality or impartiality from the persons presiding. And for me, that would have been better than what we have now. But this is what the Apex Court has said. I'll take the next step if tomorrow I come to that conclusion that I'll probably have to go back there and seek a further clarification or review of their decision. If they believe that what they have said is what we should go by, that is what we have to go by, and we have to work it out better for all of us. Because we should remember that it is not in the interest of any sectional interest for any sectional part to have a difficult constitution or difficult procedures to operate with. We should have a better structure, a better system put in place that would serve all of us and indeed posterity. This is what we should all be looking out for, and not what will serve a sectional interest.
Justice Abdullahi is the private legal practitioner who petitioned the Supreme Court to interpret Article 102 and 104 of the 1992 Constitution with regards to the voting rights of a deputy speaker who sits in the chair in the absence of a substantive speaker. Yesterday at the court, after the ruling, the Attorney General also addressed journalists, and this is what he had to say.
When the Constitution has any statement be made that whenever a deputy speaker presides, he loses his right to vote. Indeed, as I indicated in the submissions for the court, all the circumstances under which a member of parliament will lose his right to vote have actually been spelled out as 104 itself. And so it is really devoid of controversy. It's also very important to know that in all jurisdictions around the world, whenever the Speaker of Parliament or the Deputy Speaker of Parliament is a member of Parliament, he always has the right to vote.
Okay, so that was the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, and he was speaking to newsmen after the ruling at the Supreme Court. Justice Abdullahi is still with me in the studio. He's telling us what the journey has been like for him in this case, and I'm listening to you. You touched on a number of issues. The first one being it's not a political thing when you take constitutional matters to Parliament. I'm sure that you got attacks from persons who may have perhaps thought that you were doing this at the bidding. Perhaps I'm only suggesting here. You can say if I'm right or wrong. You may have been pushed by the minority side of Parliament, so the NDC would have put you up to this. Is that something that came across your table, and how do you respond to that?
I've had a number of persons saying this both on air and privately and on social media. I've seen comments and heard comments regarding that. Let me put it out there that if I have anybody sponsoring me, I'll be happy with it. I would love to have any money, any other form of sacrifices, advices that come from anyone, regardless of the political party the person belongs to, whether MPP or an NDC or CPP, QRC or any other person. I'll be grateful for it, because I have made my position clearly known that I would continuously fight the burden of Ghana and not a sectional interest. If you believe in the fight that I do and you want to help me, I'll completely welcome it, and I'll thank you so much for it. Indeed, I will acknowledge you wherever I go. So if there's anyone out there who thinks that he loves the fight I fight, whether he belongs to MPP or an NDC.
Did the NDC put you up to this fight?
Never. I haven't ever had any contact with any member of NDC regarding this case. In fact, as a matter of fact, it is the reason why I didn't even put it out there when the writ was filed. If you remember, other people filed that writ, and all of it were on social media and in mainstream media. But I was doing this. I started this as a patriot. I started this as a lawyer. I started this as a law lecturer. I can't be teaching my students theories every day without putting it into practice, without letting them know that this is how it actually works, and that we can all put our shoulders to it and get the best out of our systems. I cannot be saying this in classroom every single day and still sit aloof whilst people go around destroying our country. I had to take the bull by the horn. I had to spend a lot of money and time.
How much are we talking about? You said if expensive in terms of money.
It's a lot of money.
What does it take to take a case before the Apex Court?
If you check the fees on fees and charges of lawyers, indeed, and the bills you pay at the filing cases, you come to the conclusion that the Supreme Court is not a place to go if you do not have the resources to do that, unless, of course, you have some form of sponsorship from someone else. And that is why it's easier for people to say that somebody probably put you up to some of these things. But I did this out of my personal sacrifice for God and indeed for country. And I'll continuously do this. I'll pursue this so long as I have the strength and the resources to do it. I'll continuously do it, God willing.
Okay, so that deals with one aspect of what I got from listening to you. The second aspect is you talking about the ruling, meaning that the deputy speaker becomes a referee in a match where he's also playing, and you saying that it takes away the neutrality of the whole parliamentary process. So what would that mean for the context going forward? The context here meaning the interactions with the two sides in the House in Parliament.
So for the two sides in Parliament as it stands now, naturally the outcome would favor the governing party, because now they would have their member of Parliament, who is a deputy speaker, also serving as a member of Parliament in reality at the same time, wearing two different hats at the same time.
If the speaker is not,
that is, if the speaker is not around
in the chair.
And so now what it means is that the absence or presence of the speaker does not affect the governing party. That's what this means, and that is for me I do not really have issues with that. My issues really is the principles that brought about that. That's why I have a difficulty with, because I do not think that you should be a referee. The speaker, remember, the speaker doesn't have a casting vote nor even an original vote, and the speaker is not counted as part of the quorum, whether for decision making or for business of the day. And I think the same should go for the deputies, and this is why I actually went to the Supreme Court. And that is, I mean, and this position is supported by some provisions of both the Constitution and indeed the standing orders. And indeed, it is the reason why the Supreme Court had to strike down the standing orders, because it is in support of, partly in support of my position, and then it is that position that I sought to be included to reflect in the Constitution, sort of, so that we take away the complete player referee role of the deputies out of
party colours aside, we have two deputy speakers who obviously are doing business with the government side of the House. We have a substantive speaker who is a known face of the minority side of the House, a known key player of the minority side of the House. So both are wearing political colours here, some may say. So on what basis would you say that if the speaker's decision would not be political, but the deputy speaker's decision would be, if they're both?
Well, on the face of what we have presently in Parliament, it's safe to put it the way you put it. However, our Constitution envisages the Speaker of Parliament would not be a member of Parliament, and that is what we operate with. And so, despite the fact that this particular speaker, in fact, indeed, and all other speakers have all been known political activists or members of the ruling government. I mean, that is clearly known. However, whoever observed the earlier speakers, from Peter Lajete, actually from D.F. Annan to Peter Lajete, will tell you for a fact that these persons, despite their political affiliations, were very apolitical in their decision making, and they were probably one of the fantastic speakers, one of the most fantastic speakers we've ever had, and that is the sort of speakers that we need. And remember, they were not members of Parliament, because if they are members of Parliament, it's easier for the whip system to whip them into line. However, because they are not members of Parliament, you cannot.
Does it mean then that we are looking forward to an amendment of Parliament standing orders with this ruling, do you think?
So, no, this ruling automatically amends Parliament's standing order 1093 from the standing order. So it's completely taken away. It's gone for good. Until maybe a review is filed and maybe given a positive outcome, which is not even a guarantee that this would come back. So the dynamics
Parliament cannot overrule a Supreme Court.
Absolutely not.
Judgment.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And so it's quite difficult considering the decision. It's almost impossible to say that this rule would come back to life. And so it's safe to say at this moment that it's gone for good. But my point is this. We can still look at the standing orders by way of getting, and not just the standing orders, maybe the Constitution as well, by ensuring that the Speaker and his deputy to get the best out of them. In fact, this is what this suit has brought us to. We have to now have this kind of conversation, the kind of conversation that will get the best out of our speakers, so that they do not exhibit political interest in any decision that is taken, so that they'll put the country first on the agenda. And I need to say this, that it will be very, it's so simplistic and fanciful to think that the Speaker, or the deputies, if they have political interest, they will not take decisions, or they do not have any role to play in the decisions that are taken. In fact, if the speakers or the deputies do not have any role to play in the decisions that are taken, we wouldn't be sitting here today. It is because of their role that all the confusion, choice of speakers and their deputies, and it is the reason why I'll strongly call for having completely new persons outside of Parliament to occupy those positions. If they are affiliated to political parties, it will be very difficult to say that the person is not affiliated to a particular political party, because you probably may not even know. Somebody may decide to express his political opinions, others may not. And so it will be very difficult to say that. However, once the members are not from the House of Parliament, I think it serves us better than having members of Parliament being speakers or deputy speakers.
Is it time to have deputy speakers in Parliament to come from outside the chamber? Is it time to start a conversation around getting deputy speakers outside Parliament? What are your thoughts on what we are discussing? Justice Abdullah is here, private legal practitioner. He petitioned the Supreme Court to interpret portions of the law that allowed a deputy speaker to vote and whether he could form a quorum. The court said he can. So what are your thoughts? 05555611034. CAF will read your messages to us now.
Thank you very much, Thelma. Hi, Justice. Good to see you.
Justice
Abdullah, your action has really been very helpful for the understanding of our Constitution. That's Kofi Oku from Upper West Akim Adesu. 05555561034. Good morning, Thelma. Justice is talking like a professional lawyer and a lecturer. Even though he disagrees with the Supreme Court, he's handling it in a non-partisan manner. His reactions on radio and TV have been excellent. So kudos for you. Yeah, Thelma loves to say it. Thoughts expressed here are no way mine or Thelma's or anybody else's. These are your own thoughts. You won't take responsibility for your thoughts. Good morning, GTV Morning Breakfast Show. It's now clear that the judiciary is in bed with the government because the attempt by the first or second deputy speaker to vote while performing his role as a speaker has never been made before. So where does the current first deputy speaker get the inspiration to vote whilst performing duties as a speaker from? More so when there is a standing parliamentary order which prohibits such moves. Striking out that standing order which prevents the first and second deputy speakers to vote whilst in the speaker's chair is just to pave the way for e-levy and subsequent government policies to be passed without struggle. The duty of the Supreme Court is to interpret the Constitution and not to change it, says Monday's male child, Kobla. Okay, so let's keep going. More messages coming in. Okay, so let's see. I totally agree with Abdullah. This verdict is political and will not stand the test of time. Our Constitution is the basic problem. Current Constitution must be thrown away, and as a group of people, we need an accountable Constitution. Not this Rawlings 92 Constitution where there's no accountability, where it takes all, which is not helping our country, says Andrew. Okay, Janibet Telemot. What do you mean? We always be saying this 1992 Constitution needs drastic amendment. By the time we select deputy speakers outside Parliament, it will save us from this embarrassment. Gilbert Junu. The Supreme Court has decided, no matter how disappointing the losing party feels, it is important that we respect the decision. That is the highest decision-making body in these matters. Yao from Accra. There's no need to threaten mayhem because you disagree with the verdict. I doubt that justice has been doing that. Leviticus Powers, Kaswa. Supreme Court of the land has spoken, and that is it. E-levy, a domestic revenue generation machine, must be approved by Parliament rather than try to rely on funds coming from other sources. And then you're shedding a shout out to your favorite MP. Okay. All right. So keep them coming. Please ask Justice if there's been a time when the Speaker's position has been neutral. Have speakers ever been neutral?
I think I answered that question.
Yes. He did answer.
Okay, he answered it.
Yep.
Was it yes or no?
No. I said that it's not a yes or no answer because they've always been affiliated with the political parties in government. However, their functions have been the best from a speaker. From that nationalistic point of view, and that is why I mentioned the case of DFN and Peter Alajiti.
Okay.
Indeed. It is the reason why Peter Alajiti, for instance, was renominated by the opposition political party.
Okay.
Because he was not in bed with his own government. His own government. He put the nation first and not his political party.
Awesome.
And that is what we expect from a speaker.
Okay.
And this is the thing that I've been fighting for in this case.
Okay. The more messages at the top.
Yep.
A lot. Wow. Deputy speakers should not be parliamentarians. Simple, says Daniel Ofori-Dankwa. Yes, you're enjoying what we are wearing. Thank you. Thanks to Rich Cultural. Justice Abdullah, yes, indeed, a good lawyer will often make a mental note of some circumstances that go to diminish the authority of a case. Good morning, Justice. From Al-Haji Dawuda in Medina Estate. Good morning, Thelma. Greetings. Back to you. Nani just says, good job. Thelma, good job, Justice. Just let's go back to the Supreme Court for review because they have not dealt with exactly what he went for. From Haji Haruna in Ashaiman. You've done a yeoman's job, says NK. Supreme Court clarity on who has the right to vote as a Speaker of Parliament is a good fight, and this will go a long way. Thank you for bringing decency to our Parliament going forward. Great sacrifice. Kudos, Justice Abdullah. Now Parliament, be warned. Stick to the rules. Say no. Disgrace Parliament. Those are your views. Not mine. Nobody will invite me to go and see anybody because of what you said. I refuse that in Jesus' name. All right? And I'm just curious though. So if you become a justice of the Supreme Court, will you be called Justice?
I face this question almost every single day that I step in the court.
Would you?
And that will be the misfortune that I'll be saddled with.
A double justice.
Yeah. And I think it's good.
Yeah, why not?
Somebody saw your future as a child and they just gave you the name Justice.
Maybe somebody loved me.
Thank you. Those are the messages like 05555561034. Uyala, the lioness is in the house. That comes up after this heat. So you stay with us. Don't go anywhere. GTV Breakfast. Heritage Month on GTV.
Okay, so we'll speak a bit more, a while longer with Justice. And I wonder, the Supreme Court has spoken. So this is the new law, as
Absolutely.
you told us. Does it mean the approval of the budget as the Deputy Speaker oversaw during the Speaker's absence? Does it mean the budget has been approved now?
Exactly so. Indeed, as part of this case was for the Supreme Court to reject the budget that was approved. I think that would have been a chaos from where I sit. That would have been a very serious matter that the government will be saddled with because budget was approved about 2 months or 3 months ago. And we are 3 months into that budget. Expenditures are being made. And then the Supreme Court makes that pronouncement. You know, it gets to a point where you have a reality check tells you that the Supreme Court was faced with a very difficult case. This is probably one of the most difficult cases the Supreme Court was faced with. To throw away the budget would have been a very serious matter that all of us would have had to grapple with, because that's part of the things that I sent to court. So what it meant literally was that if the Supreme Court had upheld my reliefs, the budget as we have it today wouldn't be in existence. And possibly all the expenditures that had been made would have been unlawful expenditures. But I know, of course, there are always ways around some of these matters. So, yeah, but so in a way, if you look at it from that angle, I mean, that is the part that nobody actually sees, because everybody's thinking and looking at.
But we are seeing it, and that's why we are asking.
No. I mean, most people are focused on the deputy speaker's voting right and counting right, but the other ramifications are not being pronounced upon.
Okay.
By
and the other matter too is as to whether or not the e-levy has passed. Now that the Supreme Court has upheld this or has held this decision?
Absolutely not. The e-levy bill is still, I think the bill is still before Parliament, and so that one has nothing to do with this. Absolutely nothing. There's no connection at all. However, what would happen is that perhaps now that the government has more like an extra hand in Parliament, they may have they have one more number, more or less, notwithstanding the fact that that member or those members are deputy speakers. Now those members, their votes that were discounted have now been added, and so now they actually have the 138 now, instead of the past where the absence of Speaker Babin would have made them 137. Now it's a proper 138, and so of course adding the independent candidates to the numbers. So yeah, it gives the government some comfortable lead.
If you were to challenge this, would you? Is it something that you would be interested in doing? Because there are some who would say that your name will go down in history whenever such issues are brought up as the lawyer that challenged the Supreme Court to offer clarity on this matter. Would you want to challenge and then, you know, make a further mark on the case?
Let me put it out clearly to viewers that my decision to challenge it is not to make a name for myself or for my law firm or anybody else. My decision to challenge, if I make that decision, would purely for the interest of Ghana,
you
and not for my
made the
not
decision
for a person.
yet?
No, because until you get a full judgment, it would be very fanciful to sit down here and think that you can easily challenge a decision of this nature. You may disagree with portions of it, or even everything about the decision. That is completely your right as a citizen. But your ability to challenge it is purely based on law. This is a constitutional matter. These are not fact-finding. These are legal matters.
Is there a constitutional way of challenging a Supreme Court ruling?
You may not call it a challenge. It's a review.
Okay.
It may give you similar effect, but they are not the same.
Has the court ever gone back on itself to say, we said this before, but now at the review, as you're telling us it's called, we actually think you were right the first time, and has it ever gone back on itself?
Oh yes, there have been few instances of that happening, and there have been few instances of some of the members also changing their position, and so the same people. On a second thought, we think otherwise. There have been few instances. It does happen. So it is the Supreme Court. They have the right to change their mind. They are not bound by any decision they make, and they are reasonable people. They are astute lawyers before becoming judges, and they've made their marks in history, in the laws of this republic, and so they are not those kind of persons that you can easily overlook and think that they do not know what they are about. They take decisions if they believe it is right at the moment that they take that decision. Sometimes those decisions may have consequences that, being human beings, they probably did not envisage would happen. And so if you bring it to their attention, they are not too proud to say, well, we should probably have vetted our minds to these other areas that we did not. And we think on a second thought and the benefit of hindsight, this is what we believe should be the case.
Do you personally feel let down or encouraged by the ruling of the Supreme Court?
Actually, I am more motivated by this to further the democratic credentials of this republic by ensuring that more and more of these are done, despite the sacrifices that I would have to go through. Because I think leaving this battle of nation building to the hands of MPP and NDC may probably not augur well for all of us. And it has always been the time for all of us to put our shoulders to it and get it done, and done well.
Justice, thank you again for being at this table. You are always welcome here.
Thank you, Thelma, for looking gorgeously African.
Thank you.
I'm proud of
Heritage Month. It's Heritage Month on GTV. That's the hashtag. You can follow Heritage Month on GTV and hashtag GTV Breakfast. Justice Abdullah is a private legal practitioner. He's been helping us understand where his thoughts are the morning after the Supreme Court ruling upholding that a deputy speaker of parliament can be counted during the formation of a quorum for parliamentary decision making and participation in voting while presiding. He's been sharing his thoughts. You've been sharing yours with us as well, and we appreciate them. We'll take a break, and then when we come back, we'll hear the Lioness of Africa roar. She's already in the studio looking, as she always does, effortlessly African. And we'll have a chit-chat with her. Kaf will have that sit down, and you don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.